Just Energy with naturopath and medical intuitive Dr. Rita Louise. We have learned from Einstein's theories that matter and energy are one. Physicists believe that all systems in nature have their own particular way of vibrating. From the swing of a pendulum to the waves in the ocean to the light that brightens the sky each day, each of these oscillates at its own unique rate. In the same way, things such as rocks and minerals vibrate very slowly and at speeds that are imperceptible to us. Living things such as plants, animals, and man vibrate faster and appear to be alive. The same holds true for every thought, feeling, event, or word we speak. Each has its own frequency or rate of vibration. What many of us don't realize is if we take everything in our own universe down to its simplest form, it is all just energy. Join Dr. Rita as she explores questions such as, what are we made of? Why do we get sick? How can I live a more balanced and whole life? Call in and talk to her and her thought-provoking guests. Send us your questions and get the help you need to move beyond any obstacles or challenges that may be affecting your life, right from the source. So stay tuned and explore your possibilities.
Hello, I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning in to tonight's Just Energy radio show this evening. Many of the people I've helped over the years were listeners just like you. If you're at a juncture in your life, don't stand alone at this important time. Call me or drop me an email and we can set up a time for a private consultation so that you too can experience health, healing, and wholeness in your life. To find out more about the services I offer, please visit my main website at soulhealer.com. That's SOULHEALER.com. So everyone, tonight we are going to be having a wonderful show. Our first guest, hard to believe it as it is the infamous Dan, well, I don't know if he's infamous, but Dan Millman. And in the second hour, we are going to be talking to Jennifer Farmer about meditation. So let me tell you a little bit about Dan and get him on the air because time is short and we have lots of questions, as always. Dan Millman is a former world champion athlete, university coach, martial arts instructor, and college professor. After an intense 20-year spiritual quest, Dan's teaching found its form as the Peaceful Warrior's Way, expressed fully in his books and lectures. His work continues to evolve over time to meet the needs of a changing world. Dan's 13 books, includes The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, have inspired and informed millions of readers in 29 languages worldwide. So please, welcome to Just Energy Radio, Dan Millman. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Hello, Rita. Nice to talk with you.
Thank you so much for coming on to the show and spending some time with my listeners. I gave a lecture last week, and I said, I have Dan Millman coming on the show on Friday, and the look of astonishment on their face, so I'm going, okay, everybody listen in. It's going to be a good one.
Well, I know we always have a good time.
We always try. So, Dan, your books are about the Peaceful Warrior, and so for people that aren't familiar with your work, what is the Peaceful Warrior?
Sure, it's a fair question. Some people, it's the first time they've heard the term. Other people might have seen the Peaceful Warrior movie with Nick Nolte based on my first book. But simply put, what seems like an oxymoron, a contradiction in terms, peaceful and warrior, can also blend the two to create a life of balance. Because all of us are striving to live with a more peaceful heart, but we also need a warrior spirit at moments in our lives. I think we can all relate to that. So it's that idea of a peaceful heart and a warrior spirit. Images of people like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Harriet Tubman, and many others relate to that idea of living a life of balance as a peaceful warrior.
And I think those people are very clear about who they are and what they want, although they won't use force or harmful negative energy to get to that place.
Well, I think some of us who are old enough, like myself, have seen that old TV series called Kung Fu, where Kwai Chang Caine, the Shaolin priest, his way of life was a pacifist way of life, but as shown on the television program, he was also a master of Kung Fu or Shaolin temple boxing. And so as the show plot went on, he would sometimes have to defend people and use his martial skills, even though it was always with the deepest regret. So each of us have to make those choices for ourselves. In an ideal world, we would get rid of all guns, turn our swords into plowshares, and live in peace, and the lion would lie down with the lamb. This is something would be a wonderful world. However, in the real world, there are people who are tyrants in greed, who are hungry for power, and who manipulate or impose their will on others in a way that's unfair, nationally speaking, internationally, and so on. We read about it in the newspapers. There are criminals. There are unbalanced people in the world. So remember, the peaceful warrior's way, as I always remind people, is about living with our head in the clouds, but also our feet on the ground. And that's a stretch for a lot of us. So we're in a real world, not an ideal one right now. There are times we need a warrior spirit. There are times we need to stand up inside of ourselves and speak up for ourselves. It's not about being aggressive or passive, but it's finding that balance of being assertive in our own lives. So it's not just a abstract concepts I'm talking about or an interesting philosophy. This is grounded in everyday life. Each of us are a peaceful warrior in training.
Well, and many people have this belief that in order to experience that level of peace, we have to join, go into a monastery and meditate all day long. But that really isn't very realistic.
Not for most of us. Now, there are times in our lives, there are periods of time where we may want to engage practices of meditation, fasting, and other disciplines. It doesn't mean one has to do it all the time. That could be put different ways, Rita, and I think, of course, you know this. You're just saying this to engage me in a lighthearted conversation for your listeners. The peaceful warrior's way, what I describe as approach to living, our schooling takes place in everyday life, in facing challenges in relationships, with health and healing and fitness, with a physical body, also in the financial world, career decisions, and the challenges we face without and within. So that's where the important battles are fought, with self-doubt, insecurity, various kinds of fear. And so this way, again, is a balance of activity in the world, functioning fully in this world, rolling up our sleeves and handling what we need to, whether it's taking out the trash, doing the laundry, and everyday things of life, going to work, taking care of kids. But at the same time, there are moments where it can be useful to sit and repose just quietly and to practice a little bit of meditation. But many people think just sitting around doing internal exercises, visualizations and meditation and so on is the real answer in life. Well, again, it's only part of it. It's part of life, but we also need to face the challenges in this great school that will teach us everything we need to learn eventually, just living our daily lives.
Whether we like it or not. And I've heard the comment made that, people that do live in a monastery or something actually are isolating themselves from the true experience that we have in dealing with so many different kinds of influences and so many challenges, of raising a family and working and providing that they would not normally experience in their daily lives.
Well, I would, let me respond to that, and I agree with that statement completely. Let me respond with a brief anecdote. A man had actually called me once, some years ago, and said, Dan, I've become more interested in spirituality and spiritual life and practice. But how can I do this? He said, I've got a wife and 3 kids and a full-time job. And he came to understand that his wife, his children, and his full-time job were his spiritual practices. And facing those practices will demand more and develop more than sitting in a cave and meditating. I know this because I've done both. I have 3 grown daughters. I'm married 33 years now. So I know about the challenges of real life in these different arenas. So my work is grounded in everyday life, and I think that's where I recommend everyone really face their challenges rather than thinking idealistic notions like if I just go on a retreat, get away from the world. that will help me be more spiritual. Now, some people choose that. They choose the monastic way, and that is their life choice. The householder's way is not for everybody. But for most of us, as I think you've hinted, it's good to really face what we need to in everyday life and grow through that and appreciate that.
Well, I think that, life is constantly giving us challenges to address and work through. I mean, I can't see a better teacher myself than what we have to do in everyday life. I mean, anyway, enough.
Well, no, listen, you're making very good points, and I think it needs to be kind of repeated. It bears repetition because, as you know, so many of us wonder, why does life have to be so difficult sometimes? And I usually respond, would you like easy? I can tell you how to make life easier, for sure. Don't get married, don't have children, don't take on any responsibilities, and life will be easy. Just live in a little cabin or trailer somewhere and grow your own garden up in the woods. But are we really here for easy? Or are we here, as you say, in the school of life to grow, evolve, challenge ourselves? I've never seen any kind of challenge or adversity without hidden gifts. Sports are a form of voluntary adversity. Business is a form of voluntary adversity. So is raising children and being married. But we grow wiser, we grow stronger, and we even more compassionate through facing our challenges in these areas. So it's not as if we have to pretend to like every difficulty that comes along. But when it does, as many of us are facing today in the world, when it does become difficult, we can at least hold that thread of attention that, there's some growth here. There's something that is going to be helpful to my own growth, even though it's a difficult time right now.
I mean, do you have any words of encouragement for those people that feel that their life is constantly being challenged? In my own experience, I've interacted with people that their lives seem okay, and then there are other people where, when something happens, it happens, and it happens for a long period of time, where the things that they're hit with are huge, And so do you have any commentary, about why some people are less challenged in this lifetime? That sounds bad. And any hope for people that did sound bad, and hope for people that are really getting the big challenges put in their path?
Well, again, this is all the area of belief. I can't say for certain why some people have more difficult lives. There's such a thing as karma, astrology. We go through different transits. Some people may have had an easy lifetime, one lifetime, and maybe another lifetime, more challenges. Often it feels like it's more than we can handle, but I don't believe any soul is given actually more than they can handle. There's some kind of amazing, just like the stars whirl and the universe seems to maintain some sort of balance, and the wonderful system of life on the planet and in our own bodies. So certain things are built in, and I think this divine school is going to give us exactly what we need. Not necessarily what we want, but what we need. You see, to me, Rita, faith, F-A-I-T-H, is not defined by just repeating, I believe in God, or I believe in this religion, or I think faith is the courage to live as if everything that happens is for our highest good and learning. And now, do I know that's true? I don't. But I'm going to live on that basis. I'm going to have the courage to live as if that's true, because it makes my life more resourceful. I don't feel like a victim sometimes. I'd say, okay, if I chose this on some level, if this is for my highest good, I'm going to make the best of it and just get through this. So some people's lives are difficult just because they're difficult. Sometimes really bad, difficult things happen. Illness, accidents, so on. Disappointments, loss. But other times, there may be people out there whose lives just seem smooth and they're lucky all the time. That's just a bell curve statistically. But most of us, life has its pleasant moments and it has its unpleasant moments. It has its conveniences and inconveniences. For most of us, I think we relate to that. Even though we go through some better times and some more difficult ones, life's like a roller coaster. But still, the point is, if we can learn to accept that and make the best of it, and like a surfer on the wave, and just ride it out when we have to, appreciate we're going to get stronger, we're going to learn something from this, and move on. I mean, that's the best. A man named Shoma Morita once said, when running up a hill, it's okay to give up as many times as you want, as long as your feet keep moving.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, it's a good quote.
That's a good one. One of the things I think kind of tied with this is the whole notion of change. And why is change so hard for us?
Well, change is easy when things aren't going well. Then we're looking for change. But when life's going okay, that sense of insecurity, we like things to be predictable and controllable, and we just keep hoping that's what's going to happen. We can just a regular routine, and it's always safe, and no flat tires, and no problems. But in the real world, change happens. We know that. That's a fact. And so by learning to accept that and make the best of it, there was a wonderful quotation by a Japanese poet named Masahide, I believe. He said, now that my house is burned down, I have a better view of the rising moon. And, that's one approach to life. And some of us, every change that happens, I don't want that. We resist like somebody pulled, we pull back. And it just makes us miserable. Stress happens in our lives when the mind resists what is. Life's going to unfold, right, as it does. And we can either resist it, ignore it, pretend it's not happening, or just face it and move on. And that is what I recommend. And I'm only telling your listeners, I'm only suggesting what everyone knows, but we tend to forget.
Exactly. And then in those moments, I would assume that taking some kind of action, as opposed to climbing in a hole and covering yourself with sand, taking some action to just continue moving forward, like your quote, would be the appropriate thing to do.
Absolutely. You're so spot on. I mean, this is ultimately all we can do is take constructive action. Because life is going to happen. What are we going to do? We rebalance, we retool, we retrain, we shift, we dance. That's all we can do with life. And life is constantly calling us to do just that. And the more we answer that call, the better our life gets. I'm not just going to plug my books. I have 13 books, but I do refer people to one or another that's relevant to this. In my little book, The Laws of Spirit, an ageless woman sage, takes me through the mountains and watching the natural world unfold. She teaches me these 12 spiritual laws. And one of them is the law of surrender. That wonderful teacher, Byron Katie, you probably heard Katie, maybe you've talked with her, but she teaches this law of surrender. That's what her work is all about. And so I point out how this law works. Because people think law of surrender, that sounds like, becoming a doormat or capitulating to someone else's ego and becoming a slave. But it's nothing like that. In fact, it's the most intelligent, creative, assertive response we can make to any moment. It's like a martial artist. When someone pulls them, they don't push. When they're pulled, they push. And when someone pulls them, they go with the flow. When someone pushes them, they pull. They go with the force. They don't try to fight it. And many of us get exhausted trying to fight the forces and the currents of life. And once we learn to just make use of it, how can I act in line with that and make it over my way? How can I make use of this? That is when wisdom comes.
My observation is that some people make the choice to not move in any direction because they're afraid that the action that they're going to take will be the wrong action. And in my experience, and share with if this is your experience, is that sometimes it really doesn't matter what the action is because you can always change your mind later, but it's more important to just keep going forward and then navigating the course as you go.
So true, so true. And this is the whole challenge of decision making. Many of us are afraid to make the wrong decisions. And if we understand at a higher level, every choice leads to wisdom, eventually. Some choices make life a little harder, some make them easier, but don't want to wobble. We don't want to second-guess ourselves all the time. What if I had done the different thing? There's a story in my best-known book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, in which an old man and his son, very poor, they're farmers, and they only own one horse who pulls the plow to plow their fields. And one day the horse runs away. And all the neighbors say, "Oh, what terrible fortune. What will you do?" The farmer shrugs and says, it's hard to tell what's bad luck and what's good luck these days. Well, he was right, because the next week the horse came back leading 5 wild horses into the corral. And all the neighbors said, "What great fortune. What wonderful luck." And he said, I don't know whether it's good luck or bad luck. He just really can't tell about these things. Well, soon after, the farmer's son was trying to tame one of the horses, and he fell off and broke his leg in 2 places. Of course, all the neighbors commiserated, said, "Oh, what terrible luck." And farmer just said, "I don't know, good luck, bad luck." Well, soon after that, the army came to take all the young men to fight in a war in which they'd almost certainly be killed. But the farmer's son was spared because his leg was broken. So the farmer shrugged. Good luck, bad luck, who knows? We often play God. We think, this should be that. This should have happened that way. But that flat tire we had, or that fender bender in traffic, might have saved our life a mile up on the road. There might have been something worse waiting. So we just don't know. And if we remember that as life unfolds, we kind of flow with it and assume, we don't know what's good luck and bad luck. Things happen, we deal with them. That's what I do. That's probably what you do, and probably your listeners do.
I'll agree. There was, in your Wisdom of the Peaceful Warrior, I want to read a quote. "We used to believe that if we earned good grades in school, worked at nice jobs, got married, and had 1.5 children apiece, if we did what was expected of us, we could look forward to the weekends and holidays and retirement, and life would be full and good." And I read that, and what came to me, kind of in the same idea, is that people have these expectations, and when they aren't met, kind of based on that analogy, they're not met, and they end up feeling dissatisfied with their lives.
Yep.
As opposed to looking at, this is what I do have, and the abundance of what I have, and going from that place.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. And, that's the old thing. So much of it comes down to cliches. We say, "Oh, I know that already. I know that," but do we practice it? Yeah, counting our blessings. Glass half empty, half full. All cliches. We've heard them a million times. Turn lemons into lemonade. But do we practice it? That's the question. And the core of what I call the Peaceful Warrior's Way, which I teach, again, and it takes 13 books. They say you teach what you need to learn. I must need to learn an awful lot after 13 books. But each book, as you know, is different. The life you were born to live, no ordinary moments. By the way, I need to interject right now because I'm really excited about it. Our brand new website just went up today. And
congratulations.
We put a tremendous amount of work in it. It highlights all the books. I have video seminars, 10-minute seminars, accessible online. This is going to be, a foundation, a new foundation. And today is a good time to build new foundations when we're facing various challenges. And so I wanted to share that. So in these various books, in this approach to life I described, it involves things we all understand, but the core is action. How will we take action? How do we turn what we know into what we actually do? And that is the heart of this way. It's not about abstract philosophy. It's not about fixing our thoughts so we can just have positive thoughts or a quiet mind where no thoughts intrude. That's like having no dreams anymore. Thoughts are perfectly natural. They come and go. So, anyway,
we need to take a quick break.
Yeah, we'll continue.
I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy Radio. We're here talking with Dan Millman, author of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior and 12 other books with a new website. And we will be back after these words from our sponsors.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages.
Are you sensitive to energy? Want to explore the world beyond the five senses? Looking for a new career as an alternative healthcare practitioner? Then the Institute of Applied Energetics, Medical Intuition, and Energy Medicine training programs may be right for you. Our comprehensive curriculum provides students with a deep understanding of how to detect, evaluate, and transform the subtle body, as well as techniques for correcting energetic imbalances that may underscore a person's ability to experience radiant health. So if you are sensitive to energy, contact the Institute of Applied Energetics right away. Be a catalyst for changing the way healthcare is done around the world. Visit www.appliedenergeticsinstitute.com and start your new career today. Hey, it's Dr. Rita Louise. Don't forget to sign up for our free online newsletter at justenergyradio.com. It'll keep you informed of who's coming on the show each week. And don't forget, explore your possibilities every Friday night. Don't miss a single episode of Just Energy Radio. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Are you feeling stuck and unsure which way to turn on your path? Do you lack focus and direction in life? Do you feel something is missing? So what do you want? A better job, your dream home, more money, your ideal mate? Dakara has practical tools to assist you. Schedule a session today to get clear about what you truly desire to deliberately create the life you want. For more information, visit manifestingconsultant.com or call toll-free 1-800-813-3877.
Go deep inside yourself and venture into the realm of the unconscious mind with my Meditating on the Kabbalah guided imagery audio CDs. Discover who you are and what you want in life. Meditating on the Kabbalah can help you to open, clear, and revitalize the energetic pathways of your subtle being. They will support you in your spiritual quest by helping you to access the profound insights and inner guidance you need as you work in alignment with your highest good. Let them help you to release negative thoughts and emotions and clear away any limitations that may be keeping you from experiencing your full potential. Walk down the path to health, healing, understanding, and enlightenment with Meditating on the Kabbalah. Order your copy today at www.soulhealer.com. That's right, that's www.soulhealer.com.
And now back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Hello and welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and we're here talking with Dan Millman, author of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, plus a number of other books. Dan, when you were talking about your new website, is that at the danmillman.com site, or is that a different URL?
Yeah, I think Dan Millman will get there, yes, but or just peaceful, yes. Let's just say it is. There are different URLs. PeacefulWarrior.com is the simplest one. PeacefulWarrior.com will get you there.
We're definitely marketing friendly on this show, Dan.
That's very nice.
So in your book, The Wisdom of the Peaceful Warrior, one of the things you talk about is the concept of reality and delusion. You know, and I've heard those terms in reading, like Eastern philosophy books years ago. And it was interesting that it came up in your book because, like I said, it's not something that you see very often. And I was wondering if you could kind of talk about that because I think it's a concept that not very many people are aware of.
Yeah, the idea of getting real. The problem with it, of course, is that people have different concepts of reality. It's been said, in fact, Lao Tzu said, there are three truths, your truth, my truth, and the truth. And it's been also said that reality is made up of many realities. So we all go, well, that's fine, I'm for reality, but, what is that? How do you determine what it is? And there are things we can agree upon. For example, gravity. Gravity seems to work whether or not we believe in it. It just applies in our lives. So that is one hint. I teach spiritual laws. My work isn't based on just my opinions. It's based on universal laws like the law of gravity. Call them universal reminders like the law of balance, the law of choices, the law of process, and so on. And it can help guide our lives to stop fighting the currents of life and flowing with it more. And I already mentioned that in the Laws of Spirit. That's the book that really gets into those most specifically. But anyway, I probably lost track of what you'd asked. I mean, that's fun.
Well, about the nature of reality and then the concept of illusion, because that you don't hear that in, more Western metaphysical New Thought vocabulary.
Sure. Exactly. No, and I'm not. If people don't know how to kind of pigeonhole me or place me, I'm not really a New Thought, New Age believer. I'm because I was a former athlete and martial artist and so on. It's like for me, how do we get practical outcomes in our everyday life? We have enough to think about already. There are a lot of abstract concepts and philosophies that are elegant sounding, but that's fine. How do I apply this? How do I use this? And that's really how I approach life. And when we talk about reality, one way to look at it, and my latest book, Wisdom of the Peaceful Warrior, goes a lot into dreaming and lucid waking, in the sense that when we go to sleep at night, we've all had the experience of having a nightmare or having a very nice dream, but then we wake up and we go, oh, it was just a dream. In the dream, we didn't realize it for the most part. It seemed real to us, and then we woke up and realized the monster wasn't in the room or whatever. And so in that sense of waking up, the same thing can happen in our everyday lives. There's a place, and it's not so dramatic. It's more like a dimmer switch being turned up, where we begin to notice what's going on around us and things and people, and we begin to look at ourselves in a more realistic way. For example, Mark Twain had a wonderful quote. He said, "I've had many troubles in my life, most of which never happened." And people laugh when they hear that often because they go, well, that's true, because most of our troubles never happen. They're in our subjective mind, our worries, our concerns, our associations and beliefs. Meanwhile, the world is happening around us. Birds are singing outside our window. The sun is shining, or it's a cool, brisk winter day. But life is going on, and meanwhile, this complexity. Barbara Rasp once said, the lesson is simple. The student is complicated. So we complicate life by looking at it through this filter of our beliefs, illusions, associations, opinions. We don't see life as it is. We see life as we are. And the more we clear that window we're staring through, the more we clean it, the more simple life becomes, the more direct. This doesn't mean that, and that means this. We walk by somebody and they don't smile at us, and we go, they must not like me, or they're not a friendly person. We make up all these things. That's how we complicate our lives. So reality has to do with starting to tune into what the Zen Buddhists call isness or suchness of life, as it is, without all the extras.
Excellent answer. We have a caller. Caller, Are you there?
Yes.
Do you have a question for us tonight? Oh, my voice. Do you have a question?
Hello?
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 What's your name?
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Yes. This is Lynn Fabia.
Hi, Lynn. How can we help you tonight? Do you have a question?
I just want to say I really am enjoying listening to Dan Millman speak, and I'm a fan of his, and I'm having my book released. I'm also a martial artist this midsummer, and it's called The Martial Art of Life, The Art of Intentional Living, and I use metaphors of Aikido to teach about the core of life, being centered.
Lovely.
Resonates with what you're speaking about. I've been teaching for I've been in Aikido for 27 years, and I'm also not considered New Age or metaphysical, but I talk about life concepts.
Well, that sounds beautiful. It's nice to have, they say there's one light, Lynn, but many lamps, and So you keep shining, and congratulations on your book.
Thank you, and I do have you the back of my book, and I wanted you to know that.
Oh, that's very nice.
But I talked
Thanks for calling, Lynn.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. I mean, I think it's interesting that you made the comment that you're not a new thought, metaphysical, woo-woo kind of guy. You know, in what you do or what you write, even though, you know, your message fits into that genre. You know, I mean, if we're labeling things that way, yeah.
Well, yeah. Let me comment on that, Rita, because I in no way do I put down or criticize any other approach to living. People need to follow whatever they're drawn to follow. I just need to explain that I'm kind of a member of none but a friend to all. So, for example, there are those who practice a particular religious tradition. There are those who love the Course in Miracles or other spiritual paths. There are those who train in martial arts. Those people do all sorts of different things that are part of their calling and heritage. And I think it's all great. I don't believe there's any best path or religion or book or teacher. I believe there's, or diet for that matter, I believe there's the best one for each given individual at a given time. So each of us needs to find out what works best for us. Life is an experiment. So when I said I was not a sort of a new age or new thought type person, that doesn't mean I'm saying it's a bad thing to be those things. I'm just saying that my own approach, I don't want to be mistaken for one of those particular paths. It's sort of a unique path with, again, I'll repeat it, head in the clouds, feet on the ground.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, people go, well, you know, what's your thing? And I'm like, well, I just am, you know, and so whatever you get, you get. There, you know, it's not that I ascribe to any one thing, and I think there's a lot of people that don't necessarily ascribe to one teaching or methodology, but, you know, open themselves up to receiving what works for them in their life and in their belief system, and then move forward with that.
Exactly.
So that's cool. We're good.
Yep.
Let's see, where do I want to go? So what would happen to us? You know, what if we let go of all of our assumptions and let go of the fear and doubt that we have and that victim energy about what's happened to us and just go with the flow and then trust life around us? What could we experience in that?
Well, I'd love to say all good things, life will flow and so on, but let me step back a moment here, Rita, because when you say if we could just let go of that, you know, I hear that so many times. We use that phrase, just let go, and it's really a wonderful phrase. You know, there's a story about a young student of meditation who said to the Roshi, he woke up from a meditation and said, I'm having terrible nightmares in this meditation, and the Roshi said, let it go. And then after a while he calmed down again. He said, oh, I'm having this beautiful fantasy. And the Roshi said, let it go. And then he said, oh, I'm having difficult worries. Oh, I'm so worried. And he said, let it go. And he said, I can't. And the Roshi said, then you'll just have to throw it out. The point is this whole idea of letting go, as if we can let go of the ego, let go of our fears, well, if somebody has a handle on how to do that, I'd like to know. The fact is, thoughts come and go. Emotions come and go. Sometimes I'm afraid, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm happy, sometimes this, sometimes that. I've come to accept that about my humanity. Sometimes my thoughts are positive, sometimes they're negative. Sometimes I'm confident, sometimes I'm a little insecure. But that's just part of being a human being. And this idea, where do we get that if you just follow spiritual life, you'll just be like the Buddha all the time and not have any bad thoughts or feelings? The fact is that what's going to make a difference in our lives is what we do moment to moment, not what we're feeling or thinking. I hate to say that because it's very different from many other teachings, but I want people to know where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to fix my insides. Now, having said that, I need to clarify. Because some people might be going, well, wait a minute, there are some people who are paranoid, and yes, some people could benefit from cognitive behavioral therapy. Some people you say, how are you doing today? And they go, what do you mean by that? So there are people who could maybe clean a few filters in their head and polish a few things here and there. But for most of us, this preoccupation with, I've just got to meditate so I'll clear all these negative thoughts. You can have negative thoughts and live a pretty good life and get a lot done during the day. So this is a different approach to living than often the approach is telling you let go of these thoughts and your life will be better. Because, I don't know how to let go. I know my thoughts come and go. They change all the time. So do my emotions. They're like weather patterns. And so they're going to change anyway. But meanwhile, I focus on what do I need to do right now? So sorry for that long monologue, but that completes what I wanted to say.
That was perfect.
Okay.
Because we are human beings, and it happens. And I can see where that could be a good goal of something where you might want to achieve,
Sure. Nice
but in having all this other stuff going on, it gives us the opportunity to find more balance in our life as well.
Yep.
And move through. I do a segment on a radio show, Feet to the Fire, and my segment this month is about stress and how the emotion of, there's a lot of people in fear right now and survival, and how that emotion is just an emotion. And instead of holding on to it and owning it as part of who we are, we can acknowledge it and allow it to move through us.
Exactly.
And so,
and it will, just like the weather, it will move through us. It will move on.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people aren't aware that that's even possible.
Yeah. Well, again, but if people pay attention, if someone has their watch beep 20 minutes after the hour or every 5 minutes, and then as soon as it beeps, they write down what they were doing and what they were feeling, they'll start to notice the most interesting thing looking at their little diary. They'll notice their feelings change all the time. So nobody feels happy or sad or angry all the time. Margaret Bonanno said you can only live happily ever after on a moment-to-moment basis. So nobody feels anything all the time. So anybody with a little observation can notice that our feelings do change naturally. And we don't have to do a special effort or technique to change them. Of course, it's nicer to feel confident and courageous and compassionate and happy and peaceful. But you know what? Sometimes I feel that way and sometimes less so. But it still comes down to what will we do in the moment while we're having all these feelings and thoughts. So yes, it is nicer to have positive emotions and positive thoughts, but that's not always going to happen in the real world. And that's about reality as well.
All right, Dan, we need to take a quick break.
You bet.
I'm Dr. Rita Louise. We're here talking to Dan Millman about his book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, danmillman.com, and we'll be back after these messages.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages.
Crossroads in your life and discover alternative solutions to your deepest concerns at soulhealer.com. So whether it's a physical problem, an emotional issue, a question about work, or troubles in your relationships, naturopath and medical intuitive Dr. Rita Louise can help you. Bring peace, harmony, and health back into your life. Schedule a session today. Visit soulhealer.com right away and live the life you've been dreaming of.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rita Louise, the host of Just Energy Radio and the founder of the Institute of Applied Energetics. Start a new career today on the leading edge of alternative health and healing. The Institute of Applied Energetics can help you develop the specialized skills you need to work as an energy medicine practitioner, intuitive counselor, or professional medical intuitive. Besides our outstanding technical instruction, our programs also support you in creating and building a successful business in this rapidly growing field. Be a catalyst for changing the way healthcare is done around the world. Contact the Institute of Applied Energetics right away or visit appliedenergeticsinstitute.com. You can get a copy of Dr. Rita's latest book, Avoiding the Cosmic 2x4, by visiting www.soulhealer.com. Get your copy today.
Just Energy Radio wants to help you grow your business. Just Energy Radio has a growing global audience which can provide you with an unequaled opportunity to educate thousands of people about the products and services you have to offer. Through our targeted market, your ad is more likely to connect with like-minded individuals who will respond to your message. In addition, our archiving feature will allow your ad to be heard over and over again. Join the Internet marketing revolution and take advantage of our low introductory prices. Visit justenergyradio.com for more information.
Move past the crossroads in your life and discover alternative solutions to your deepest concerns at SoulHealer.com. So whether it's a physical problem, an emotional issue, a question about work, or troubles in your relationships, naturopath and medical intuitive Dr. Rita Louise can help you. Bring peace, harmony, and health back into your life. Schedule a session today. Visit SoulHealer.com right away and live the life you've been dreaming of.
And now back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Hello and welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and we're here today talking to Dan Millman about the Peaceful Warrior. So, Dan, before the break, we were talking about thoughts and emotions and living a spiritual life or, working a spiritual path. And I think there are a lot of people that have the belief that they aren't supposed to have those thoughts and they aren't supposed to have those emotions, and an expectation that if you're spiritual, you don't do this. And then when they find themselves having those thoughts or emotions, they start beating themselves up.
Exactly. We feel ashamed of feeling afraid. We feel guilty about feeling angry. One emotion piled on top of the other, trying to resist, flee from our emotions, change them. I treat my emotions the way I treated my little girls when they were young. I pay attention to them. I learn from them. I honor them and cherish them. But I don't let them just take over and run the household. Well, I guess in the case of my daughters, that's not altogether true. But I think many of us really spend a lot of our time trying to be a better person by having better emotions. And one of the biggest problems in this world, and I think it's especially in the teenage years, is people feel too responsible for their thoughts and emotions and not responsible enough for their actions. And so if people focus more on their actions and stop worrying so much about what emotion they happen to be feeling, again, emotions contain information. If somebody's really unhappy, every time they go and join their spouse or partner for months and months or years, there may be something to look at there. So it's not as if it's not about ignoring our emotions. We can learn from them. But it's not either that we don't want to let every emotional impulse drive our life and behavior. So we kind of let the emotions be there, learn from them, find out what story they have to tell, move on, and what can I do now that's constructive and positive. And we have more control over what we do than what we're feeling in any given moment or thinking. So many of us are trying to feel a certain way, but, if we could control our feelings by just willing ourselves to feel differently, then my teaching would be very brief. I would just say to everybody, feel happy from now on, thanks for coming, But we can't feel terrified by willing it, or feel happy, or feel angry, or feel sad, or peaceful just by willing ourselves to. Feelings come and go. This is a new kind of approach to life. So let the feelings be, and like old friends, they stop bothering us so much. They just happen, and we're a natural part of our life, and we move on from it.
Perfect. Well, we're getting a little low on time, so I want to ask one last question.
Sure.
If someone wanted to, start walking the path of the Peaceful Warrior, what would be a good first step for them to do? I mean, other than buying all your books and reading them. We'll talk about that after.
Yeah, and you know what? I know it sounds strange, but it's not all about buying my books and reading them. I don't care if somebody goes to the library and borrows it or gets it from a friend. I took a lot of trouble writing those books. I went to a lot of trouble so my teachers could become theirs and share the information. That's ultimately what I want to look back on at the end of my life, not how many people bought a copy of my book. So it's fine. I'm an author, and this is one of the realistic things about life. I make my living on book royalties. I give seminars all over the country. I love doing the work I do. But it's not as if I'm just here like some shyster, like trying to sell my stuff. People have all kinds of issues, money issues. That's a whole other topic. I can come on sometime. We can talk about money. But the point is, to close out here, and you mentioned stress, because many people are feeling stressed today. Now, stress is an abstract idea. People are stressed when they have a wedding to go to, a birthday party, getting together with family. Many pleasant or good things we feel stress over. Stress just means we're engaged with life. So I can't really tell people how not to feel stressed, but what I can do is help them with tension. Because, when you're stressed and relaxed, that's a whole different thing than being stressed and tense. So rather than saying, I'm stressed out, I want to stop being stressed out, let yourself feel whatever you feel, but focus on relaxing the body. You can do that. Shake yourself loose, take a deep breath. We can always control that in any situation. Here and now, breathe and relax. Focus on the present moment. What's happening now? That's coming back to reality. The rest is imagination and memory. This is the moment that counts, and this moment will not pass again. So focusing on this moment and doing what needs to be done in this moment and remembering to breathe and relax, that's a lot of the ball game.
Perfect. So, talk a little bit more about this website, because this is usually kind of where we talk about books and, things that you have coming up, any classes or other new stuff coming up for you.
Well, I do, and it's all on the website. So people who are curious about my work are more than welcome to drop by PeacefulWarriorcom and check out the various offerings. It's kind of a neat site. I'm thrilled about it. And because I don't really need to talk about my books or anything else. They can find anything they want at the website. It's like Alice's Restaurant. You can get everything you want. So it's all there at the PeacefulWarrior.com website. And I would love to see some of your listeners another time as well.
And I know you were just at the Awakening Conference a couple of weeks ago. And so are you going to be at any other new events? Are you going to be at the Awakening Conference in Arizona in a couple of months?
In the Phoenix area. I will be there in May. And again, that's actually, I need to put it on my website. It's not there, but it will be by tomorrow. I'm going to make a note to put that on my website so people, if they want to know about the Phoenix event. But there are other events listed. I'm meeting people down in Costa Rica for a glorious week, my 5th time down there. Some amazing people show up for the fun. And so I'll be down in Costa Rica. It's all at the website. So they can look on the event schedule. They can look at the different seminars and videos and slideshow and a lot of fun things at the website, PeacefulWarrior.com.
And I'll assume that you have a newsletter that people can sign up for, too?
Absolutely. In fact, the next news and notes, which is we give people's favorite quotations, all kinds of stuff on the newsletter. It's like an e-zine. They can get that. It's going out on Tuesday, the next one. So I send them out every month or two. I don't spam people. Just once in a while, special, I send a little gift. So anybody can go to my website, sign up for our e-list, if they'd like to get that newsletter and have a good time with it.
Great. So is there anything you would like to share with the listeners in closing?
Well, I think, I think one of the keys to living is to, I remind people, I'm not here for people to trust me. That's not my purpose here. I'm here to help people trust themselves. And so it's a good reminder for people, for all of us, to trust the path of our life, that know that wherever we step, the path is going to appear beneath our feet. Our path will guide us. We can't lose the way, as much as it may feel like sometimes. It's all unfolding as it is, and it's good to remind ourselves of that now and then.
Well, and we have no choice but to move forward, whether we want to or not. We can go happily, one foot in front of the other, or we can go kicking and screaming and dragging our heels in the sand.
That's our choice, and we have that power of choice.
Well, I'm going, okay, let's come up with another question.
Sure.
So, Dan, I'm not sure how our time is going to be, but how did you get into this work in the first place? You know, what? Oh, there goes the music. I knew it was coming up.
There goes the music. Well, that'll have to wait for another time.
It will have to wait for another time. Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you spending time with us, and I would love to have you back down the road.
I've had a good time, Rita. I'm glad you have too.
All right. Thank you.
Be well.
I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy Radio. We'll be back with our next guest after these words from our sponsor.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages. Are you getting your greens? Now you can have your greens and drink them too with Inner Food by Inner Health Botanicals. Inner Food promotes health and boosts energy with nature's finest superfoods. Inner Food is 70% organic and 100% natural without fillers and is a whole food product totally assimilated by the body. Inner Food is spirulina, chlorella, dulse, kelp, spinach, alfalfa, barley, wheatgrass, rosehip, beetroots, and much more in real amounts, not just a sprinkle to fill out an inflated but impotent list of ingredients. Just mix a tablespoon in your protein shake or in your favorite fruit juice and you are good to go and go and go. Other greens on the shelf typically weigh 300 grams and sell for between $35 and $70. Inner Food is a full 400 grams, 33% more for $39.95 plus shipping. Simply go to our website, InnerStreamsRadio.com, and click on any Inner Health Botanical banner and you're ready to order. Or call 866-762-9238 and be sure to mention you heard them on Inner Streams Radio. Inner Food, building health from the inside out. 70 million Americans suffer from sleep deficit. I'm James Afayanchik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio, and I'd like to tell you about Earth Pulse Magnetic Field Supplementation. While using the Earth Pulse device, I found that I drifted off to sleep faster, I slept deeper, and I woke up more refreshed, and it does much, much more. Call them right now at 888-211-7888 or check out their website at www.earthpulse.net. But wait, there's more. When you buy a new digitally programmed Earth Pulse version 4 magnetic supplementation device and use the special Innerstreams Radio coupon code ISR, you'll receive an instant $50 savings. No rebates to get lost in the mail. Just $50 more in your pocket on your way to better health. 888-211-7888 or check out their website at earthpulse.net and use the special Innerstreams Radio coupon code ISR. Earth Pulse. Deeper, more restful sleep or your money back. The Berkey water system is more than a water filter. It's a natural purification system that yields 99.99% pure, toxin, and biopathogen-free water from any water source without electricity. Many supermarket paper and charcoal filters catch, for a while anyway, some impurities that make water taste bad. The Berkey ceramic hard rock filters with their zillions of little micro holes go much further and trap everything from parasites to bacteria to chemical toxins and molecular-sized contaminants, even fluoride and arsenic. Trace elements and minerals necessary for life are filtered out by most reverse osmosis systems. The Berkey systems allow these through to nourish and energize you, your family, your pets, and the plants under your care. What about lugging bottled water home every week? The Berkey pure water systems are many times more pure than the so-called spring water, and the cost-convenience factor will amaze you. With simple, regular cleanings, your